السلام عليكم ورحمة الله تعالى وبركاته. لدي سؤال لعلماء المسلمين. في آيات قرآنية تثبت بكل وضوح بأن القرآن الكريم موجه للعالمين، للثقلين، للإنس والجن. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. تبارك الذي نزل الفرقان على عبده ليكون للعالمين نذيرا. فسؤالي: لماذا نسيتم سكان أمريكا قبل 1492؟ وما أرسلناك إلا رحمة للعالمين. وماذا عن شعوب أمريكا؟ And how about the peoples of America before 1492? None of them has been able to answer my question, except maybe one, or maybe two. One of them from Algeria, and the second from the United States of America. As no one was able to answer my questions, no one from the Muslim scholars has ever been able to answer my questions, I have made my own researches. And guess what? I was looking for a prophet in America, and I discovered that Muhammad ﷺ was one of their messengers. Archaeologists, anthropologists, linguists, navigators, ancient historians, and researchers from various origins have been the ones who are able to answer my questions. Maritime exchanges have brought people together and associated them in many vast endeavors. For millennia, their peaceful interactions have opened up the ways of all oceans and seas. And the navigators of ancient times are the ones who answered my questions. The historiography is thus characterized by a certain degree of uncertainty, emphasizing the subjectivity of ethnocentric viewpoints, offering the reader version that is based solely on a selection of historical narratives from which the historian draws, but which would change the game if other narratives taken into account other ethnic perspectives were selected to form a new one. The question would then be, is the historian seeking historical truth, or is he or she trying to win over the Spencers while pandering to the egos of some nations at the expense of others? Why should we believe the story of Christopher Columbus as being true and make him the discoverer of America when his Journal de Bord, his logbook, emphasizes his more than doubtful encounter with mermaids during his transatlantic voyage? Why shouldn't we argue that date as recent as 1492, corresponding to a first crossing of the Atlantic Ocean, is an offense to human intelligence and curiosity? On October 12, 1492, Christopher Columbus believed, and everyone else with him, that Europeans were touching the American soil for the first time. In reality, the act of the great Genoese navigator was only the official taking of possession of this part of the world. This has been written by a French historian, Gabriel Gravier, in 1874, in his book about the Normans discovering America. But in fact, when Gravier speaks about the discovery of America by these French settlers, He underlines the fact that the Arabs were present on the American continent and that all of them were surprised by their presence. In order to understand the possibility of transatlantic voyages by Arab fleets, it is necessary to take up the history of navigation and that of technical progress, and precisely the state of development in which its maritime fleets were, in order to clarify the situation. I have tried to summarize the situation by shedding light on the conditions that prevailed within the Arab fleets, the Arab Navy, as well as the state of development of the instruments of navigation. Maritime history proves the mastery that the Arabs had of the nautical universe, of the technology that they developed and from which all human communities benefited. The misinformation was done by spreading cliché that did not correspond in any way to reality. The most eminent and bold navigators were in fact Arabs. Religion and science were the flags they proudly flew on the ships that set sail for distant horizons. Consequently, if we select another historiography and other sources, other references, we realize that we can have a totally different version of history. And this is how I came to write another book entitled Arab, Muslim, and Black African America before 1492, a mathematical equation.